Hey folks, John Cantera here, the Double Broker Bounty Hunter. Welcome to another episode of Stop the Scam. We've got a good one for you today. For all you trucking fans, we've got updates for Carrier 411. We've got a bad boy list that is growing large. And we also have our special guest with us, the Phenom out of Amazon. I tried to rhyme that. I guess it didn't work as well as I'd hoped. But anyway, let's go ahead and get things started.
Welcome to the Double Broker Bounty Hunters Stop the Scam. Here are your hosts, the Double Broker Bounty Hunter, John Cantera, and Dispatch Kate, Caitlin Price.
Another one bites the dust.
Hello, folks. Another great week, another wonderful Monday. And boy, I'll tell you, this has been probably one of the worst dispatching days I have had in a long time. Kate, you been able to get anything done today?
One thing for tomorrow.
One load for tomorrow. So you didn't even have anything for today. Ouch. I had a short shot for today. That's the only thing I got for today, but at least I got a couple loads for tomorrow now. And it's like, oh my God, what is wrong with this market?
I didn't have anybody running today, so let me just point that out. It was all for tomorrow anyway, but usually I'm able to book ahead of time. Today I was only able to book one ahead of time.
Ooh. Okay. Well, hey, at least you're catching up. It's all right. It's all right. But we have got some interesting information that we need to pass out to you all. Some updates from Carrier 411. So I had another call with the infamous Darren Brewer last week. So for those of you who don't know, he is the owner and CEO of Carrier 411. And for some reason, he likes to talk to me and pass information to me about the things that he's doing on the platform. So here is the latest. We already know that he is going to be launching sometime in the next few months a Carrier 511, which is the Carrier version of Carrier 411. So carriers are going to have the ability to look at their own profile, to screen brokers, and to put freight guards on brokers. They're not going to be called freight guards. They're going to be called something else. He hasn't decided what yet, but that is still the plan. Now, part of this release is also going to include a facelift of the current Carrier 411. It's a total redesign of the entire website. So we don't even know how it's going to look or what's changing yet, but it is coming, supposedly all launching at around the same time. Now, what is new that Darren had pointed out to me is that Darren is going to be introducing the ability for a carrier, when they receive a freight guard, they not only have the 500 character response that they currently have, but they will also be able to record a 60-second video to help plead their case. So that video is probably going to be really interesting for a lot of brokers when they're trying to determine whether or not somebody's really doing something that they find untoward or something along those lines. So it could be very significant for some carriers out there, especially if you as a carrier understand how to utilize video to help get your point across. So that is some fun stuff coming up from Carrier 411. If you can call it fun, don't get me wrong. I don't know why this guy talks to me, because I'm probably his biggest critic. I'm certainly one of the most outspoken people that's out there right now on social media about it. But he keeps talking to me, and I'll keep listening. But Kate, I know you've been working on a fraud case that has just been really chapping your hide. What do you got?
So I know we touched on this previously for a smidge, a little bit, and it's been an ongoing situation. So carrier ran a load, one of my carriers ran a load in August for Midway Logistics, and Midway was not factorable at the time, but their credit was okay. I believe not factorable at the time, but their credit was okay. It's been a while. and we opted for quick pay. So they didn't pay for a very long time. I'm just going to try to make that part short. They didn't pay for a long time. Finally, it came time for them to pay. They short paid the carrier, saying that the carrier failed to track. And the carrier did not fail to track. He did track. And I even sent them the load track. So this was done on Trucker Tools. And Trucker Tools, I don't know for how long you can go back and look at those loads, but it's at least a few months because we can still go back and look at it. So I looked at the load and I said, our carrier tracked the entirety of the load, and I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Well, she sent me a screenshot. The lady in accounting sent me a screenshot of a different load, a completely different load that was not our load, that had not been tracked. And I said, that's not our load. Our load is load number, blah, 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 blah. And it was tracked. And she sent me back a screenshot of this time our load. And there was one little area where it said tracking interrupted. Now, at the time that tracking interrupted thing came up, the truck was parked. This was a weekend load. The truck was parked. It didn't go very far. It only went from Chicago to Dayton, Ohio. So he was parked at a truck stop just, I want to say, right outside or right on like the Ohio-Indiana border. And he had been parked there for, it was over 24 hours that he actually spent in that one spot, just parked there. And they said that because it showed tracking interrupted, they weren't going to pay because that to them meant that the driver didn't track. So I contacted Trucker Tools to get some clarification. Like, hey, can you tell me what exactly does this mean, or what prompts your program to throw such a code or a notification or whatever? And they said it can be multiple things, like the driver's phone dies or loses signal or this or that, or the truck is parked for more than 1 hour. So I talked to Trucker Tools 2 times about this, and I got the same answer both times. I responded to Midway and told them that, and they kept insisting that now there was another section, a 12-hour period, where the load was not tracked. So I want to, for those of you that have used Trucker Tools, you'll know what I'm talking about. There are 2 points of 2 things that I guess you could pay attention to. There's a map, the actual map with the red pings on it, and then there's an events log. So the events log is on the left side, and it shows like major events, like tracking started or tracking sent to driver. Like the very first one will say text message sent to driver, or tracking requested, text message sent to driver, and then it'll say driver accepted tracking or whatever. And that's when it starts. That's in the events log. That events log will also show if the driver, it can be pretty specific. So if the driver loses signal or if their phone dies, it can say no signal found, or no something indicating that phone does not have a signal to be pinged to. Not necessarily that somebody shut it off, but that they don't have service. They don't have cell phone service. So it can be pretty specific. It does not record every single individual ping in the events log. Those pings are recorded on the map that you can look at right next to the events log. So you can click on each individual ping and pull it up and show where the driver was, where he tracked, whatever. So after going back and forth several times, and I actually spoke to somebody, he was the director of something, some kind of director or something like that over at Midway. I talked to that guy. I didn't even explain all of the situation. I was prepared to. I had the representative from Trucker Tools on the phone with me. I didn't even get to explain the entire thing. And he like cut me off and said, I'll get it taken care of. I've been having issues with this guy. This guy being their tracking manager. So they have someone who oversees all of these, specifically the tracking on all of their loads. Someone who oversees that, and I guess determines whether or not it was tracked or how it was tracked or when it was tracked or whatever. I don't know. I don't work there. That guy claims that the load was not tracked. And we have shown them, we have sent them screenshots of the entire load and taken it upon ourselves to, in detail, type out every single ping that Trucker Tools showed between the time that they claim the tracking was not updated. And they can look at the same thing. So it's really stupid. It's really stupid. So I went and filed a report after so many attempts to get paid on this thing and so many times of being told you didn't track or whatever. I filed a report, got tired of it. So I'm going to read my report and then I want to read what they responded with. So my report says, my carrier ran a load and opted for quick pay, invoiced on 8/30/24. After repeated emails regarding payment, we finally received confirmation of payment being sent on 10/28. However, the amount was $150 short, with Midway claiming our driver did not track the load. I responded that our driver did track the entirety of the load, and Midway responded with a tip snip from Trucker Tools showing a different load that had not been tracked. When I responded and let them know that this was not the correct load, they responded with a snip from our load, highlighting the section that shows tracking interrupted while the truck was parked over the weekend at a truck stop. Midway also claims there was a previous gap of 10 to 12 hours that was not tracked, and that is untrue. They were sent in detail all pinged locations according to Trucker Tools and still refuse to acknowledge the validity of the tracking. I have spoken to management at Midway who advised me they've been, quote, having problems with this guy, who I assume is a tracking director for Midway. I was told it would be taken care of, only for someone to come back and say the owner refused to pay the carrier for the tracking fee. After going back and forth, I reached out to Trucker Tools for further clarification. I was told twice by two different reps that the app will automatically default to a tracking interrupted event when the truck is parked for an extended period of time with no new location to be pinged. Trucker Tools support has also sent this information directly to Midway, confirming that the load was tracked in its entirety. They've been sent screenshots, they've viewed the entire load track, which you can see in the events log, and have been sent detailed information about each individual ping that they're citing was not tracked. And Midway still refuses to acknowledge this information, and as of today is still withholding pay from the carrier. So, and keep in mind, this isn't just like a review. This isn't like a review that I posted on DAT or something that can go and nobody looks at it. This was reviewed for like a week before it went up. And I had to submit supporting documents and all kinds of things. I showed the snip from Trucker Tools.
This was in Carrier Assure, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Carrier Assure, where carriers can write up brokers, much like a freight guard.
Yes. Yes. And those brokers can respond, which they did shortly thereafter. And it was really just like a copy paste of what they had been telling me in email. And I'm going to break this down as I read it because there's certain things that I want to point out here. So the broker's response was, I would like to take a moment to point out that the carrier signed a legal binding contract stating that they would track for the full duration of the time they have our load on the back of their truck. I also want to point out that we do this as an industry standard. One, so our shippers can access this tool and see exactly where their commodity is. And two, if the load is stolen, we can get in contact with law enforcement and let them know where we last saw the truck, and they have a better understanding of where to start the leads to track it down. Three, we pay for this tool with our insurance and can't be deemed at fault for negligence by another insurance company or shipper if something were to go wrong. This carrier fully understood the rules of the rate con they signed and therefore was negligent on their part for not following the contract. We do not think this was done maliciously, but at some point during the duration, you're trying to tell me that the carrier/driver never once looked at their phone and heard the alert when they were notified that the load was no longer tracking. Okay, that did not happen. If I had the track up in front of me, I would share my screen and I would show it to you. But there's also other information in that I don't want to necessarily, there's like emails and all kinds of stuff. So I don't really want to throw that. But in that events log, that's where that would show up. It would say text message sent to driver. It'll say driver looked at load track. Driver acknowledged it or whatever. You can tell based on those events that someone is deliberately ignoring the track. In our case, we were never even sent anything to say that we weren't tracking because we were fucking tracking it the entire time. So that it makes me feel like they're either A, trying to get out of paying the carrier, or B, this entire time, no matter what I say, they're looking at an entirely different load. Like there's no other way that I can explain this. They go on to say, we fully understand that the carriers work very hard for their money and have no problem paying out in full when the carrier follows the rate con. We also understand that the carrier needs to reset, as that is what is legally required, but twice this carrier went missing for more than a 12-hour window. Like previously stated, the rate con is very detailed and lists out every detail to a T on what is required by our company, so there are no blurred lines. As well as our tracking manager and trucker tools do a very good job at alerting the carrier, driver, or dispatch when the load is not tracking, which didn't happen because it never stopped tracking. Furthermore, we do offer refunds if the carrier can provide full proof that they did in fact track for the full duration, as we understand that sometimes there are human errors, which we offered to this carrier, and they failed to provide the proof. No, we didn't. We sent you screenshots, and I personally typed out each individual ping as I read it off of Trucker Tools. It's all there. It's all there. I also want to add that this carrier was very unprofessional and tried to tell a manager of our company that they were not getting a response from anyone regarding this matter and tried to bully them into getting a false refund by stating they were going to file on our bond after they were sent several emails, phone calls, and proof of the failure. I did. I called them and I talked to their manager and I said, look, man, this has been going on for a really long time and we're kind of just tired of it. We're just going to file on your bond. At that point, we hadn't gotten paid for anything. We hadn't gotten the line haul, nothing. After I talked to that guy, then we got paid for the line haul minus $150. So,
it drives me nuts that brokers act like this sometimes. And we have actually received several reports on Midway through our Double Broker Bounty Hunter line. I did receive a report last week. I have not been provided the documents yet, but I did receive a report last week that they failed to pay on 2 loads to a carrier who had run a series of loads for them. And the carrier arm, because this broker happens to also have trucks, poached her drivers. And so the last load that each one of those drivers did, Midway is claiming they did it themselves, even though the real carrier has they were over-dimensional loads. The carrier has the permits showing that they were the ones who actually hauled it. There's a lot of shady stuff going on at Midway. So if you are involved with Midway, if you're contemplating taking a load for them, avoid them. just don't do it. They're not worth it. Okay. And we are going to continue to investigate these guys
Hey.
until we get some satisfaction out of it.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it. I'll pull it up. All right.
Okay, so
The track.
I zoomed in so that you couldn't see the broker information. So it starts down here. So this is the events log that I was mentioning. This is the events log. This is the information about the pickup and drop off, which isn't really important. This is what's important. This and this. So in this particular case, the load went from here, A, to here, B, and the driver just forgot to turn it off when he went to take up his next load and whatever. So ignore that. This is what we're looking at right here. So here it was started 1432. Check-in completed 1433. Driver has the app. So this is when it was actually sent text message to the driver 1532. That's when it was sent to the driver to, hey, track this load, blah, blah, blah. Driver has viewed the load track 532. Tracking, text message sent to the driver, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is what they're saying was not tracked, I think. So it would have been from here to here. So 1532 on August 23rd to 2258. So my point with this events log is that it only shows major events, I guess. So it doesn't show you each individual ping. That would be kind of ridiculous. Like, look at all the. If you zoom in here, if I can find out how to zoom here. From here to here is where they're saying, oh, further than that is where they're saying nothing was tracked. So they're saying that all this does not exist. It's I don't really know what they're. I have no.
The worst part is all this proof was sent to them, and they ignore it, which is what really drives driving Kate and myself insane about this particular case. You know, the proof's right in front of them. We've even had Trucker Tools tell them that tracking was continuous
via email.
They don't care
writing.
They don't care. The Trucker Tools even told them, yes, it tracked. There are no issues.
So
it's crazy.
Here, where it says tracking interrupted, that's the second spot that they're claiming. Aside from this, so this is the first section. They're claiming it just poof and went away on their end and they can't see anything. This is the second part they're saying was interrupted from 2258 to 1428 the next day because he didn't move. He didn't move. That is right in here at this truck stop right here in Cedar Springs. And Trucker Tools, this is what Trucker Tools was talking about. So they said he parked his truck when he got there, 2258. This is where it says tracking it, or no. This is the last tracking ping, 2258, right here. On the events log, boom, over here. The next one was, what, this one?
Yeah. That's the one.
When he actually started moving again. So, I don't know, man. It really just pisses me off. This whole thing is really irritating because what do you not see? And then
the lesson here, guys, is that Trucker Tools will tell you when there's an issue. It will pop up in the events log and it will text the driver. But nowhere in there does it say that it texted the driver, one. And number two, it shows continuous pinging. So know the product that you pay for, brokers. Know how it works. and understand it before you start having claims, and then you start having the folks like us chasing you down to pay on stupid claims like this.
Well, if I may interject here,
Please.
First, I want to say, I understand the frustration, Kate. Like this is just fucking stupid and petty. But I wouldn't say, John, it's brokers understand the tool that you're doing. I can tell you exactly what this is right here. This is a broker.
Please bring it.
This is a broker that is using a way to put $150 more in their pocket off of the back of the driver based on something that they have written in the rate con that they are taking to an extreme event.
That's right, Preacher.
Kate, I'm with you. I mean, I experience stuff like this all the time. I mean, we use Macro Point, and like we experience it all the time. And here's the ironic part is that if you saw the tracking was interrupted, did they try calling the driver? Did they try calling you? Did they do a verbal check-in on tracking with the driver? Because you know, here's the other problem. Here's the other problem. Here, our industry again is relying on stupid technology and not remembering that it wasn't that long ago before things like this didn't exist, and you could just pick up a phone and circumvent a problem like this easily. Now, not saying that drivers always pick up, because I will say that's a big deal with me. Drivers don't pay and say, call my dispatcher. Where your fucking dispatcher isn't answering. That's why I'm calling you. But still, that personally, I think that I know that's what this is, man. Because here's how I know: is do you think that this broker gave that $150 break to his shipper?
Of course not.
Of course not. Of course not. So what? So the only other reason for them to do this is because, again, they have it written in their Raycon that if tracking is stopped or if you don't track the load, that's probably what it is. If you don't track the load, they don't say if you don't track the load or tracking is interrupted or go into all these other what ifs. They put that one blanket statement and then they use it for situations like this. I personally don't do this. I don't actually. I think maybe twice or something I have taken money from a carrier from not actually tracking, from not accepting it at all. And yeah, that's about it. Now I even then I'm reluctant on it because I get it. Some drivers don't like it, even though it is a requirement. Sometimes I'm willing to make the adjustment. If you're a driver that answers me and you're responsive and I can call or text and say, hey, where you're at, or I love dispatchers that do this, is as soon as the driver arrives, driver arrive. As soon as it's loaded. Here's a picture of the seal. Here's a picture of the BOL. Are we good to go? You're good to go. 2 hours later, driver is at X spot. 2 hours later, driver's at X spot. I love that. But a lot of people don't do that. So yeah, sorry, Kate. This is just 100%.
Those days are gone, man.
Yeah, 100% of broker.
Hey, Kate, do we got to get Carrie from Trucker Tools on here? No. I have her cell phone.
Yeah, I wouldn't say those days are gone. Like, I mean, just every dispatcher does their own thing. But honestly, the point of things like this is, and I know some brokers still bother carriers and dispatchers. The point of things like this is not have to rely on a dispatcher or a carrier calling you and checking in and letting you know what's going up. And then also you as the broker not having to make phone calls. Instead, you can log into a system and check 18 loads at one time of where they're at. So yeah, that Midway, I've heard bad things about them too. Not like this specific thing, but I mean, I've heard negative things about them. So, I mean, it sucks.
No, pull that back up.
Oh, sorry.
Where is Midway based out of?
Okay, Wichita, Kansas. So this is the original. When I said that she sent me a load that was not ours, this is the one that they sent me. They said your driver didn't track. So just for example's sake, because we were talking about all the things that, Trucker Tools will show when you don't track, this is what that looks like. This person, whoever this guy is, that actually didn't track his load, that Midway thought was my guy for some fucking reason, says, ELD track not started. Text message sent to start app tracking. Driver viewed the load track. ELD track not started.
Hey,
Stopped
Kate,
by the system and never tracked.
Can I ask you a question just because I'm ignorant and I'm just meeting you for the first time?
Yep.
So what do you do exactly?
I'm a dispatcher.
For a carrier, asset-based carrier, or just for multiple carriers?
Just for multiple carriers.
I see. So this is one of your asset-based carriers. This issue happened with Midway Logistics, the broker.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So can I give you my opinion, Kate? You're not gonna like it.
Go for it.
Just tell your carrier to tell Midway to go fuck themselves and go find another broker. Like,
oh well, duh. Like we're never gonna work with them again.
yeah, like
I mean, duh. But it's a principle thing, and I'm really not the kind of like I will bug the absolute dog shit out of you until you decide that you did something wrong. If I know that we're right and I know you're wrong, I will bug the dog shit out of you until you correct yourself, because that's bullshit.
Yeah, I like that. Accountability.
You can pull it down.
Okay. So yeah, this tracking stuff, man, it's crazy. If you're going to sit there and lie and steal from carriers, do it somewhere where a carrier can't catch you. You know, it just drives me nuts. Anyway, let's go ahead and get off that because we got the juicy stuff coming in now. Okay. Folks, we have Joshua Gonzalez, who is a guru for Amazon Relay. He helped to put the entire program together. He knows everything there is to know about it. And we have him here today to talk about some of the fraud that goes on. I deal a lot with claims of fraud involving Amazon Relay loads. Usually when you have a broker being impersonated for a carrier to haul an Amazon Relay load, and then I end up helping them to get paid through the Amazon claims process. That has been the extent of the knowledge that I have in all the fraud that goes on in Amazon. But boy, let me tell you something. When I see it, it is big. It is huge. I mean, 200, 300 loads at a time I'm seeing getting scammed through Amazon Relay. So, Josh, you helped build this thing. What is going on?
That's a loaded question, man.
Oh, come on.
We don't have enough time on Stop the Scam on episode 39 to cover this shit, dude.
Okay, well, broad brush strokes. Well, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so look, I'm gonna be honest. Like, we were growing exponentially. When I say we, at the time, you know, us in leadership and at Amazon, like, we weren't only experiencing fraud in the transportation space, like in the retail.com space, in our physical space. So like I don't want to say this to spook like Amazon shareholders, because I know some motherfuckers are watching. It just, you account for it, and you try to you swallow your own pill. You try to learn like what the fuck's going on, for lack of a better term, in your operations, like in your process. But at times we were growing so damn fast. I'm talking about day over day. I'm not even talking about like week over week, month over month. We're talking about exponential growth day over day. Like, it's fucking insane. We're talking about customer orders. Like when John goes on and orders like the whatever product you want to order for Amazon fulfillment, right? On Amazon.com. So we were growing, and transportation was growing too fast. We needed capacity. And it's just ripe for fraud, dude. There's a lot of money thrown around, sort of like an open checkbook philosophy there, which was bad for the culture. That's what I said. Like, Amazon used to hide one of the leadership principles is frugality, and we used to hide behind that. And you know, once so since we were growing so fast, let me give you some like concrete reasons why like that should happen. There were so many teams. Is that me or you? Is that air? Sorry, I live like right by a fucking airport, so you hear that plane. Sorry.
Oh no, it's all right. You'll hear the Blue Angels flying over my house a couple days a week too.
Oh shoot, that's actually pretty cool though. So it was our teams are very fragmented. Transportation was very fragmented. Decision makers was fragmented. Compliance was fragmented. You know, we would use one asset carriers for multiple different programs, and they would have to adhere to different programs and different compliance standards. So that's ripe for fraud, dude. It's ripe for fraud. And that's what I sounded the alarm. Like, hey, we're super fragmented. A lot of shit's falling through the cracks. And look, John, because we knew we had a lot of money, we had a fucking massive legal team. we just whatever problems, dude. I'm gonna keep it real. And I know Axel Live is watching. And that motherfucker likes to go ham. I don't give a fuck, and I'm gonna say Axel. We would just say, hey, once shit hit the fan, go speak to our legal team. I was just just a program manager, senior program manager at the time. Like I was just doing my job, right? Worry about capacity. Now, I did my job as a leader to ensure, like, once I had the reins and the power for compliance, once we had like the buy-in from leadership, like we ensured like, safety needs to be standard, compliance. We spent a lot of money with RMIS, and we spent a lot of money on internal tools. Then we started getting AWS and machine learning and AI. Made onboarding much harder. Just now utilizing like when asset carriers check into our facilities and our customers' facilities, utilizing the Relay app, like we're able to capture a lot of data there and fight fraud there. So in the beginning, in the early days, dude, those tools weren't there. So and the reason why you're experiencing what you're experiencing today, because I hate to say it's a small minor fraction. I guarantee you, because they tell me all the time. They're combating and they're hitting hard, and the government is involved, DHS, FBI, because dude, and you're not gonna like this, John, too, but dude, I always say this: all the fraud, 99.9%, and this is anecdotal, but I know this, it's always internal, dude. It's always someone fucking internal, giving some information, something's happening, or someone's bribing someone. Dude, I was awarding billions in freight. Like, I was ripe for the picking to bribe, dude. I was ripe for the picking, So, and I say that to say, like, just imagine I was one of like 20 people that had that procurement power, that checkbook power. And just think about it, it's ripe for fraud, dude. Not everyone had like the more ethical standards that I had, dude. Or like I had money, like me. I thought about this. Me personally, I had money. I was financially disciplined. Like these motherfuckers weren't, and so they're ripe for fraud. And I used to sound leadership's, and then my leadership was corrupt. So like, man, it's just, dude, John. Like, you know what I learned, dude? Like I sat with the big dogs at JB Hunt, Swift, Knight, fucking Hub Group, all the biggest brokerages like CH Robinson, Coyote, XPO, RXO. Fucking, I sat with all the largest freight forwarders, steamship lines. I was in rooms having scotch, dude, and like this is some real shit. Allegedly with hookers and shit. Like, dude, that world, you'd be surprised what, and they know what goes on, dude. They used to, what we used to do, John? Real shit. We used to, once we found these fuckers that in the black market that if we didn't prosecute them, we were like, hey, we want to pay you to understand like why you do this and what's going on. And they would sit in rooms with us, dude. Allegedly. Let me say allegedly. And that's how
that kind of reminds me of the casino cheats. Casinos used to do that too back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, that's how you infiltrate. That's the absolute only way. And then you find out it's always internal. I swear to God, John. And I always tell people that. And a lot of stuff that I learned in the streets translated to corporate America. And I always say it's someone from the inside. That mentality is always true, dude. Like, it's always someone from the inside. Go ahead. I want you to finish your thought. I'm sorry.
No. I was just tying the connection together, really for the audience. It just amazes me how you're at least able to take a bad guy and turn him into a good guy.
Oh yeah,
at least working for the good guys.
That's
pivotal. But what you're saying is that you still had forces from within who were undermining that entire thing.
Still,
in order to either enrich themselves or enrich a group of people.
Absolutely, and there's a profit motive, and sometimes like if they meet most of the time the reason why they fall, either they're not under the radar, but they're meeting their metrics for their business unit, right? Like, and they're meeting their goals. Their leadership is going to put a blind eye to it. Like, I know, I've seen it daily, dude. Those people know that are watching on LinkedIn. They know who they are. These are people that have a lot of influence and power, and or just peons and program managers, middle management. They know who they are, dude. Yeah, and I say that because it happens everywhere at CH. Because Dave Bozeman, he was the CEO of Amazon Transportation. He's the head at CH now, and he talks about fraud all the time, and he knows I know fraud, and he knows like what he learned from me doing my team. Dude, brokerage, we're a different beast. We infiltrated, dude, on Telegram chats. We flew places. We flew to allegedly Eastern Europe. We flew to fucking Northern Africa allegedly. Dude, this is real shit. On company dime. I don't give a fuck. Like Bezos credit card, that shit was open checkbook. So we flew everywhere, dude, and we infiltrated those motherfuckers. These dispatch farms, dude. It was, and you think it's dispatch farm? This is one little dude or one little fucking person in India in Hyderabad, and it's always internal and always, dude. No bullshit, John. Allegedly, our relay operational center. This is some real shit. Those are the folks that you deal with those in controllership when you deal with those claims at Amazon, right? And so like, I always know it's internal. You got a team of 60, 80,000 people, dude. It's right for fraud, and especially with overseas presence. We would have carriers, dude, in the U.S. Fucking even our UK operations or Japanese operations. We would have carriers, dude. Asset-based carriers and brokers sit down with our fucking internal teams and pay them with wads of cash, dude, to fucking get internal information, to fix their metrics, to the disputes. So you're gonna tell me it's not internal, dude? Like, I've witnessed this shit, dude, with my own eyes, and I would have to take videos of this shit, and leaders would be like, okay, they would do something about it, but like it's bigger and worse than this. Like, and dude, I don't know where I'm trying to land with this. It's just like they know this, they account for it, and it's just like it's just when you're that big, dude, you got to think about it. Like, dude, you just got to try to manage the best you can, dude. They're not the only ones that experience it. Walmart experiences it. Large brokers experience it. It's just, dude, the industry is ripe for it. You're gonna experience it everywhere. It's just like be smart, use tech, and combat that shit, dude. And dude, and don't be fucking gullible. Like, do your research and don't be gullible. Like, that's just my take, dude. Just don't be gullible and do your research. You'd be surprised what you can do with just simple research. We get too lazy and complacent. Either dispatchers, asset carriers as brokers, we get too complacent. And that's what we learned at Amazon. We were too complacent. We were growing too fast. You can't get complacent. It sneaks up on you.
So are there still also outside forces that are trying to get into Amazon? Like I said before, the scams that I see involve usually an outside entity who purchased an MC number that has an Amazon Relay account. And from there, once they get that access, they're booking massive amounts of
those
load
are called chameleon carriers. Chameleon carriers, yeah. They go and they do that, and then they Amazon
goes on DHL.
Yeah. So Amazon uses machine learning and AI quite a bit to catch, where they're at, where they're located, because they get creative. They try to use a whole different internet company, a whole different like server, DNS, and like they try to like a whole physical location. And dude, Amazon's getting smarter and smarter, like fucking catching that shit, dude. It's just they get smarter and smarter, dude, because there's always internal information that releases, no matter how tight you try to keep it. And like, so Amazon's learning a lot of lessons from the DoD, because they're getting involved now with transportation, because Amazon and intermodal side is moving DoD loads. So, whatever, you guys can look it up yourself. I don't want to speak on it. So there are a lot of learnings from the DoD about how to combat this shit. So how to be secretive, internally. So like they're learning that because, I sound the alarm, like, dude, like we just like let anyone know anything, like fucking, like down to like the middle to lower management. And you just can't do that, dude. You just can't do that. You just have to, when you grow that big, you just have to learn how to rein it in. And they're getting better at it. Okay. And they're firing people, and they're realizing like internally is a lot of it's internal, and they're cleaning house.
Now, how long ago did you leave Amazon?
So March of last year, 2023.
March of last year. So you've been out for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And your NDAs are finally gone. Yay. Really glad that we can have this conversation with you. What do you think has changed since you left? Do you have any knowledge about anything that's improved since you've left?
Yeah. I think with the safety, I think their emphasis on safety, over the road surface transportation safety, they're spending a lot of money on that. So like telematics for their private fleet, their third party providers, like they're tightening the thresholds, like on their basic behavioral safety scores. Like just they're honing in on like, hey, if your basics, reach these levels in basics, they measure driver behavioral, the tickets that they receive, the weigh stations, like, seatbelt, how many times they're on their phone, and there's with basics, it measures, there's a weight to it. And so Amazon says, hey, if your drivers are doing this, like, and then they tie that with their AI tools and like, and they correlate quite a bit there. And but the emphasis on safety, and that's how they're weeding out the bad actors, honestly. And then the only reason why they're doing it now, John, can I keep it real? The only reason why they're doing it now because their private fleet is growing, so they're more control of their supply chain, and they know that's the only way they're going to get rid of triple, all this fraud is reducing it the most is controlling the supply chain with a private fleet. So their private fleet, the Amazon Freight Partner Program, is similar to the last mile, and they're on the top of the routing guide or the top of the chain when it comes to scheduling. So they get all the loads first, and then they want to grow that. That's the only way, and that's what I made sure. Like on a 10-year outlook and my strategy, I made sure that leadership understood like you got to grow your private fleet and automation and like just grow that. That's the only fucking way you're gonna combat this. There's no other way, dude, because you're gonna have bloated teams. And this is for Amazon's. Like I'm looking at their perspective, right? They're gonna have bloated teams with compliance, bloated teams. They're too big, dude. They're global logistics. You just can't comprehend, dude, the scale that they operate, dude. It makes C.H. Robinson look like a fucking peon. Like they're literally a fucking ant, dude. They make the DoD look like an ant. I swear to God, they make the DoD look like an ant. The amount of freight that the DoD moves during wartime still make them look like an ant on a daily basis. So like just to grasp that, like that's how much freight they fucking move. So like they realize the private fleet, it's with all their modalities. We're talking about air, surface transportation. So that's why you see Amazon logos everywhere, man, because that's the only way. He knows that, Bezos and the board knows that to get rid of, reduce the fraud is the private fleet side. Because you got to think about it, like those teams are already bloated because private fleet is fucking expensive, dude, really expensive. So to make that decision, you gotta say like, you know what, fuck the fraud. Like it's costing me a lot of money anyways. You might as well just go private. And that's what I told him. Like I had to show him with metrics, with dollars, and the P&Ls and the negative customer impacts to say like, hey, you go private fleet, you got better control of your supply chain because you can't do shit to combat this. You can have your teams get bloated and more because they get more creative. And then yeah, I don't know, like because like Amazon's growing so fast, and then like internal teams grow, and like then information slips, and I don't know, man. Like it's difficult. It's very difficult.
So how can the average carrier spot when they've got an issue with an Amazon load they're on? Now it's assuming they know it's an Amazon load, okay? Meaning this is something that the fraud is originating internally. How can a carrier recognize that?
If you're getting a load from a broker, that's the first red flag. Amazon, you can move loads directly. That's the first red flag. It is keep it that simple. Amazon works with asset carriers directly. That's it. That's the first red flag.
So Relay app, and that's it.
That's it.
If you have a broker sitting there saying, yeah, it's an Amazon load, you need to have Amazon Relay downloaded and all, that's still bullshit.
It's bullshit. Unless the broker is a purchase carrier, and these are the large ones like JB Hunt 360, Swift, Warner, XPO Logistics, like those big, large brokerages, the super large brokerages that are purchase carriers from Amazon, do your homework. Google them. Are they a broker for Amazon? And Amazon publishes in public information. These are MYAs, multi-year agreements of deals that they sign with brokers, because FreightWaves reports on it. Do your homework. If it's a small to mid-sized broker, it's fraud. That's it. It's plain and simple.
Okay, so it's basically co-brokering agreements.
It's not a co-brokering agreement. You got to be careful with those words. These are a purchase carrier has the authority to grandfather in. Amazon's a shipper, so then it's not through Relay. It's not through that. These are purchase carriers that the tenders are very different. API, EDI. They don't even use Relay. The driver's not even on Relay.
So these would be the non-inventory moves that we see.
No.
I've seen
purchase carriers use they move Amazon customer facing packages, outbound customer facing loads, hot loads, Absolutely, they're purchase carriers. So what purchase carriers is these are the large brokers that have the actual capacity and brokers. They're grandfathered into Amazon, where they guarantee the shipper or Amazon. It's what purchase carriers means. X amount of capacity, and then they guarantee X amount of dollars, regardless of how much freight they get or not. But there's scales to it, and like this, it's very complex. I'm just dumbing it down. That's basically how y'all look at it. The guarantee capacity, and then for the shipper, and the shipper guarantees the X amount of dollars, regardless of what freight they get or not. So it's a whole, there's levels to it. And then within, it gets more complex because within JB Hunt now there is an Amazon relay unit, but it's only for Amazon contracted DCS, so they don't even broker those loads out or anything. So that's the first red flag. If you're getting a broker load, like that's a red flag. If they're not a big purchase carrier, which is very rare because even purchase carriers use dedicated carriers now. They have their own dedicated size. So they don't even look for spot carriers traditionally. So like that's the first red flag, John.
Okay.
Work with Amazon directly.
I know I've seen what's posted as non-inventory moves from time to time, and usually with larger brokers. But it's like bringing in packing supplies and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Clearly not inventory, but that anything I've ever heard that's been an Amazon item, a package that's headed out to a consumer, has always gone through the Relay app, not through the load boards.
Yeah, either Relay or purchase carriers. Yeah.
So carriers, watch yourselves out there. If you're hauling an Amazon thing, you really got to do a lot of homework to make sure that you're not getting screwed. Now, one of the good things is that if you are hauling an Amazon load and you did end up getting screwed over by somebody impersonating a mid-size or small broker, you are not completely out. So you can always get a hold of me. I can help you guys collect on those by submitting your claims to the Amazon claims folks. And let me tell you something, to get the contact with Amazon claims, it took me a year and a half and a court case before I would get a direct contact with
That's
Amazon.
sad, dude. I'm sorry.
It is horrible. And I know a couple of collectors.
I built that team, man. I'm sorry, John. Okay.
That's okay.
I take responsibility, like, hey, I'm the face of it, right? Like I built that from the ground up, dude. And it's just
for me, it's actually a good thing because now that I actually have that, I'm one of the very select few who have it, and therefore I can actually utilize that in my business. But the
crazy thing, John, though, we actually have to look this up. We have to look it up if it's still in the terms of service. We used to publish it in our terms of service for Relay, the claims process and the claims email.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it still should be in there. Actually, I'm gonna look it up now. Not just that way, I'm doing my research.
I would love for you to do that. That'd be
fun. Because like that's another thing I tell carriers. Like if you work directly with Amazon as a shipper, look at the contract, what it says there in terms of service, like what you sign when you sign up for Relay. Like literally, all you do is Control F, claims or whatever. Like don't sit there and read. Like just do your basic research. Look at the basics. Control F on your fucking keyboard, and look up claims, look up payments, look up because obviously they're gonna the legal team is gonna can't fucking say the word. The legal jargon, but there's a term. But all the legal jargon to overwhelm you for there's the other term how I can say it. They want to overwhelm the little guy because then the little guy's not gonna read it, So but you go in there, it explains the whole fucking process.
Yeah,
Amazon's not dumb either. They're gonna protect themselves. And
the email is the easy part. The email was the easy part. It was getting the Payee Central account. Well, what was the hard part? And it took going through a third-party attorney, one of Amazon's third-party attorneys, to finally get my hands on one of those accounts. Apparently, you have to go through so many hoops before they finally connect you into that process, which is why only certain commercial collections folks are capable of helping carriers who are stuck in that situation. What amazes me, though, is how many times this year alone I have looked at these cases come across. And you would think as many claims as I filed, and I'm just one guy. I'm not a whole massive collections company like some of the others out there. I'm just one guy. You know, maybe I file, I don't know, 2-3 claims a week. But with that much money going out the door, why has nothing changed
John,
at Amazon to fix it?
You're gonna hate me, John, right now. What I'm about to
Please.
say, because people like you with claims, when they get a double broker load, this legal team always came, Josh, you approve of this? Nope. I was an asshole. You want to know why? I was like, I always warned carriers, because then a lot of times when we were banned them for double broken, triple broken, they would go to brokers themselves, and they knew they was fucked up, and they would try to go through this claim process again. Use people like you, John. I say that because you if you know Amazon's a shipper and their whole philosophy and the whole model is working directly with you, and you still go through a broker, go fuck yourself. The terms of the reason why they're allowing you, John, Amazon.com is allowing you, Amazon Transportation, to fucking approve these claims is because they're soft leadership, in my opinion. Because if an asset carrier is using John and they got it through a broker, and you know that dude, they fucked up. Like, you should know you're a dumbass as a carrier. I'm sorry to say you're a dumbass. Because I worked with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of carriers, John. At my level, dude, I worked with them all, dude. All the dumbasses, the smart ones, so I'm keeping it real, dude. You're a dumbass because you work with the shipper directly. So I will always deny all those. There's I don't want to say her name publicly, but she's another person that does what y'all do. And I always knock her down because it's like, dude, I don't knock what you guys do, but it's just like when I was in leadership there, dude, I was tough, dude, because carriers like, go work with, we want to work with you directly. Why are you going through a fucking broker, pendejo? In Spanish means you're an idiot, And it's just like, I'm tough.
No,
like
that's not the literal translation, but that's okay. We understand.
There's so much slang in Spanish.
So like this is some real shit, John. Why are you I will always deny those claims, and legal already knew when Josh was in leadership in my team. We don't even bother him because I was right. We always won with our terms of service. Like, we pay you directly. This is what it says right here in our terms of service. And we always won the court cases. And our legal team, they would tell me, Josh, we just want to settle this. Because I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm blowing money at this. Leadership gave me a budget amount to fight these. And fuck that. This is our terms of service. I had to send a message. And their leadership is soft now. And it's because of their safety. And I know why. I fucking know why. Because the safety side, and it's about optics. They were like, Josh, it's all about optics. Fuck the optics. You got to send a message. And it worked for a long time. But they had all, they grew for their own good. And, the global logistics started taking over, which is another brokerage, which is the freight forwarding side now, which is a whole different MC. That's a whole nother topic. Dude, their freight forwarding side wanted me so bad. AGL team, you know who you are. I didn't go there because they're so fucking corrupt, man. I thought domestic was corrupt. God damn, the bitches are corrupt. And you talking about transcontinental. When you get to freight forwarding, John, that's some serious shit, dude. Steamship lines and dude, that whole world. Anyways, so what I'm saying is, like, carriers work with the shipper directly. John, so now how do we fix this, right? So like carriers, you have to fucking go back to the basics. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep this shit simple. Go find your customers. If you're gonna work with a broker, they're doing their outside sales team for you. Find the right fucking broker. Find like the right dispatchers, like Kate, right? Like, if she's really good at her shit, like, I know there's good ones out there. Just carriers, you gotta do your homework. That's just it. That's just that simple. Like, I know, like, German trucking, I'm a fucking monster in my industry, dude. I know I am. Like, right? So like, I don't give a shit about freight guards. Fuck freight guards. Fuck, dude, Kerry Jablonski. They all know Trucker Tools. Everybody knows the Freight Validate. Fuck all you freight guards. I go work with the customer directly. Those customers don't give a fuck. They sit down with me in person. We fly out. We meet in person, and we still shake hands the old school way. We're talking about large shippers, large brokers, dude. Like, that's how you fucking do business, dude. Even with all the modern technology that I've built, that they've built, you still got to build relationships. That's how you get rid of fraud. That's how they know, like, German is real. Like, I tell the shipper, come and look at my assets. Come and look at my technology. Come and look at my team. Come and look at my overseas team. Come and look at my U.S. team. That's what you do, John, as a carrier, no matter what size you are. Dude, I used to have small owner ops, one fucking truck, invite them to Amazon, and then they would come and bite me. It's all about optics, how you portray yourself. I would never go, there was some owner ops in Chicago I would definitely go to, or if I was in town. But dude, that's how you carry yourself, man. That's how you build relationships. Like freight guards, dude, fuck all the freight guards, dude. I've always said fuck freight guards. Shippers do not even read freight guards, dude. They don't give a shit. You go work directly with your customer. They don't give a fuck about these freight validates and freight guards, dude. I'm sorry, I'm a different breed. The people I deal with are different, and that's just the reality, man. And when we're talking about tech, dude, I built it all. I've seen it all, man. And it's just like, some things just don't change. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go build relationships with your shipper. Go work directly with your shippers. And I'm bullish, man, because I'm getting awards here left and right in the contract space. I don't give a fuck about no freight guards. My shippers, I ask them all the fucking time, do you give a shit about freight validate? Do you give a shit about these freight? Dude, they don't give a fuck. I know, because I was a shipper for 10 years. I never gave a fuck. We had one leader that got fired right away when he tried to implement freight guards into our system at Amazon Transportation. They fired his ass right away, and I felt bad because it's just like, that shit don't work. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, fuck, we give it the power. These freight guards, trucker tools, we give it the power, Kate and John. That's some real shit.
Fair enough. The only thing that I would come back to you on is going back to claims real quick is 49 CFR 377. If the carrier hauls the load, they're still entitled to be paid for it. And I think that's what some of the, as you described, the softer management might be feeling heat on. I'm just throwing that out there, you know. And
that's this person's argument.
That's
that same law that you just referenced, and I still didn't give a shit. Trust me, I just didn't care because that's some bullshit. Like, you work directly with Amazon, not the broker. So if to your point, then John, right? So they have to go through the broker, not through Amazon. So how are you going to go after Amazon as a customer when that's the broker's customer, right? So let's just say the way the money exchanges hands, right? It's the broker that needs to go after. I mean, the asset carrier needs to go after the broker, not Amazon. Just because Amazon didn't pay the broker, it's not. You see what I'm saying, dude?
No,
that's why I always denied those. I made sure controllership always never paid those to those brokers, fraud or not. And I felt bad for the carrier, but I was like, carrier, I had to send a message that you're a dumbass.
Perhaps you misunderstand what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here are carriers who are bamboozled by fake brokers, by scammers who are impersonating brokers that end up hauling Amazon.
Oh, so that I'm all for. Okay, good one, John. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So
okay,
that's actually a really good fucking thing. Actually,
I was confused for a minute.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's actually a good thing because that sounds the alarm. That shit sounds the alarm. Leadership listens to that shit. So I'm glad you're doing that, John. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know about Kate, but I know I see it at least 2-3 times a day where there's a broker being impersonated on DAT. It's very obvious to see that.
DAT is so bad.
That's the wild west.
But you know, the problem is, and I'm not trying to stand up for DAT's security people, but it's the result of somebody stealing another broker's credentials. That's how the fraud is taking place.
But
how do they even do that? I have to fucking put in a code every time I log in.
Yeah, it's not DAT's fault. It's the carrier. I'm telling you, it's that person's fault.
Now, I will say that
John,
a carrier
you need a big banner, pendejo, because that's what they are. They need to learn. That's a learning lesson. You know, that's what you need, a banner. I'm sorry, John, and I'm glad you're doing this, John, because the carrier. It puckers them up, man. Like, we're teaching them, dude. Like, dude, you're like Kate, tell them when you log in, you need a code all the time, right? Like, it's fucking hard to get in DAT. They're doing their job. Like, shit, it's almost like getting into a bank. It's easier to get into my fucking Chase Bank than to DAT. Keeping it real, like
it is.
So I'm like, they're trying. They're really trying. I know they're trying, and you know, like, it's just the carrier's fault, man. It's got to stop passing the blame on the tech side. There's always going to be fraud. We got to take some responsibility. There's enough blame to go around.
I think one of the hardest parts about this industry, particularly with these Amazon scams, is that with 2,000 new carriers coming into the game every single week, there's a fresh pool of kids that are getting scammed.
And I love that you brought that up. That's perspective, because it's true what you're saying.
Yeah, it's always the new guys. Every time I get an Amazon claim, it's somebody who's less than 6 months, and they didn't notice the signs. They didn't notice that the rate is 50% above market rate. They didn't notice that.
That's a great point, John. Point that out again. Like the market rate, that's a huge red flag. Like you see, like you see premiums on these lanes. Like you see market at $2, and you see 3 to 4x. Like what the fuck? That's a red flag carrier. Like that's where the personal responsibility comes along, John. That's what we need to start. Yeah.
And that is one of the things that we do teach our clients when they come to us with these claims. This is why this is a scam, and this is why you got screwed over. Okay, so they learned the lesson the hard way, because here they may think that they're getting $10,000 for a load, when in reality Amazon's probably settling for half. You know,
and a whole other issue is that the people that get these, 2,000 new authorities every week are people that don't know what they're doing and have never done this before, and there's no qualification for it. There's nothing like.
That's a whole nother conversation.
I've never drove a truck before, and I could if I wanted to.
And you mentioned freight validate. So I'm going to bring them up here as well. Hopefully, some of the changes with FMCSA through some of the models that Freight Validate is putting up is when they do their changes at the end of the year. They hired a new fraud team just a few weeks ago.
I don't mean to call out Freight Validate, by the way. I'm sorry. They're a bad example. Carrier 401 is a good example. I should have referenced Carrier 401.
Yeah,
I just want to clear that. I just want to clear that in the air, because I know what Freight Validate is doing. They're actually doing it the right way, and like I'm not blowing smoke because they support the lounge. I'm just saying it for real shit. I know what Dale Prax is building there, and he's actually a real industry dude that's really trying to find a solution. And so that like that shit's real right there. So I'm sorry, Carrier 401 to go fuck themselves. Sorry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what the new FMCSA fraud team is doing is that they are first implementing a lot of the things that Dale Prax is implementing, the documentation control, the facial recognition, all this other stuff. And FMCSA wants to have that set up within the next couple of months.
When we see it, we believe it. That's the thing, John. Like, let's be real. When I see it, I believe it, dog. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree with you.
It's the government. Come on. It's FMCSA.
I do, but I have to give Ken Riddle a little bit of credit here, because he seems like he's actually trying. And by standing up this new team, I think he's actually doing some of the right things and moving in the right direction. I would love to see what happens in the next 2 months to see if they actually do come out with the facial recognition for new entrants. And if they do that, then they're going to go back and look at current registrations to see who's got registration issues. Because you and I both know FMCSA does not allow for things like virtual addresses and virtual phone numbers. So one of the things this team is supposed to do as part of their charter is supposed to identify those MCs and revoke them. So again, more steps in the right direction, I think.
When I see it, I believe it. I'm sorry.
Well, hey, I can't argue that one. I can't argue that one.
When I see it, I believe it, man. That's for the people. That's for the little people on the ground, man. When I see it, I believe it.
I hope that in the coming year we're going to see more steps taken by the Fed to help fight fraud. But for the scammers that are already in the network, for the scammers who are impersonating folks in the network, that is still a fight that has to be fought. And I don't think anyone knows what that blueprint looks like yet. So that's going to be interesting to see as it comes up.
But it's good that folks like John and Kate and Axel Live, like you guys are exposing this, dude. This is what we need. Dude. Like Axel Live's been sounding this alarm for a while, dude. Like I know we have beef with Axel Live. I got beef with him. I still love him. But John and Kate, like keep doing what you're doing. Like this is important. Like what you're doing, you're educating the carrier. You guys are fighting for the carrier in the business world, which is great. John, it's crazy how life's full circle, right? Like I built ATS and I built the compliance team, and you're combating it too, like on a different angle, and you're opening my eyes too, man. I'm like, dude, just so you know, man, I listen, I watch Stop the Scam, and and I tell folks at Amazon, hey, yo, watch this fucking show. Look what's going on, and because they get out of their silos, like this is what's going on, and that's what I did, man. I got out of my silo.
Yeah, there's way too much in this industry, and certainly too much for just Kate and I to sit here and do ourselves. But we're glad that you're trying to help out as well. And you know, as long as everyone does their part, we can finally eradicate this this crap called fraud in this industry. But it's going to be a long uphill fight.
We won't eradicate it. We'll reduce it like a motherfucker, but we're not going to eradicate it.
Yeah, at least with education, though, we'll have less suckers.
Absolutely. There you go. That we can do.
That is one of the things.
I love that mentality.
Personally, trying to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go, John.
Okay, so we're coming up at the top of the hour. I know we didn't get a great deal of time with you, Josh, and God knows we could probably go a few more shows with just you. And we probably will have you back on again. But do you have anything that you want to plug, anything you want to highlight for the rest of our audience?
I don't. Just curious. Get educated. Like, reach out to Stop the Scam, John and Kate. Like, if you're not getting help, like, reach out to them. I have a lot of resources. I have a lot of personal contacts at Amazon and outside of Amazon. Like, reach out to them, get educated, continue to watch the show. We're gonna try it live. Watch Axel live and watch Stop the Scam. Yeah, get educated. Do your research, Karis.
Now, for our friend Axel Live, his studio is down for probably another month or so. So he'll be back up soon. Just follow him on on LinkedIn. He's still raking the muck.
I didn't know that. I gotta reach out to him.
Yeah. I think he relocated, and he's got to get his studio set back up. So he's not in that position yet, but I think in the next month he'll be back up again.
Axel, DM me if you're watching.
Oh, I'm sure he will. He'll probably text me and sit there. Well, he was texting me. He's like, John, you're late. You're late starting.
Hey,
that's okay.
Axel keeps us honest and on our toes, man. I love that.
He does. He does, and I appreciate that. Josh, thank you so much for coming on board. I really do appreciate it. Kate, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, Midway, you dirty.
She's coming for you. Midway, she's coming for you. Go
Not
fuck
done.
yourself, Midway.
We were only just starting off.
Tell them, go fuck themselves. I'll tell them for you. You want me to go over there? I'll go over there, Kate, for you. I'll put the bets. There we go, Kate. Oh, I love that.
All right, folks. Remember, Stop the Scam is around every week, live Monday, 5 p.m. Central Time. Check us out on all of our social media as well as the Lounge Media Group social media outlets. If you ever wind up a victim of scam or you need some help, you find out you've got a fraudulent load on your back, don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you want to get a hold of Kate, get her at kprice@rockdovefs.com. Or you can get me at jcantera vigilanttransport.com. I say this stuff way too fast. In the meantime, please make sure you like and subscribe for all of our stuff. And I think my dog, I got to translate for what my dog is saying. Whenever you're out there, stay safe and don't let scammers take you for a ride. We'll see y'all next week